This week's episode of Gon Kamuy has my favorite moment in the series thus far. I love the death of Suzukawa because it was so unexpected. The fact that we have this con artist who is so skilled with his dialogue that he can manipulate seemingly impossible situations to go in the way that he wants them to. And just the way they were building up to this moment of, it seems like everything's going okay. You got a man who's essentially navigating this impossible minefield of, hey, we got this money printer, seems like you're not rising through the ranks enough, let's just give you this, you give me the guy I'm wanting, everyone's going to benefit and you get a promotion. To then how you have one of Lieutenant Tsurumi's guys saying like, yeah, this guy's an absolute fake, so I'm going to call him out. I'm going to basically give him a test that only the real one could actually navigate. It was just general conversations, general pieces of dialogue in a different language, and I love how it really makes you feel safe. Because at first you're thinking, okay, someone's going to get shot. Sugimoto's going for his gun, this guy could pull his gun at any moment, and it's just the proper and just subtle dialogue of just, the wind's chilly, how's the day, just all these little individual conversations. And when you see him answer with the drinking question, and then it's just a quick shot, he gets shot in the head, Sugimoto gets shot in the chest, it was so unexpected, and it was such a wild card in this episode, because, you know, someone getting killed or someone getting shot, it's something to be expected in this series, but how they built you up to feel safe through that dialogue. Of course, it was unnerving, but because it seemed like he had the upper hand, because from everything that we saw in this episode, he's a con artist. He's a man who can use his words to get out of any situation, even if it seems impossible. We saw with this episode, up till that moment, that he's very good at persuading people. Obviously, he wouldn't be able to persuade a man who knows he's fake, but who would have expected that he would get shot then and there? It's so amazing to see, and this con artist obviously wasn't the greatest guy of all time, but I was actually really looking forward to seeing how he might be implemented in future arcs, so to see him get shot in the head, I'm not disappointed he died because on a personal level I think he's a great guy, but because imagining just what he could do in future arcs and just how he would manipulate others, that was really something I was looking forward to. But I have to say, if his death had to be anything, I'm glad it was this because of how unexpected it was and just how I had to pause the episode for a minute and be like, okay, is Sugimoto gonna die here? I loved it so much. And this episode, this was really a perfect example of how Golden Kamuy can be silly, it can be stupid, but it can also hit you a little in the heart, because there was some actual really emotional dialogue in this episode, mainly at the end of the episode when Sugimoto is kind of reflecting on his past. At first you think, oh, it's just him reminiscing about food and what he loves, but realizing it's him wanting the past back and realizing that he probably can never have it or have what he wanted in the past come into reality. And I really liked how they're able to blend this very interesting mix of really emotional moments, like with the death, like with the end of the episode reflecting on the past, but also these over-the-top absurdity moments, like you have Lieutenant Tsurumi calling and basically making out with the phone, which was absolutely hilarious, or then you have the Escape King just wandering around naked in this kind of windy field of just delusions and madness, and them skinning deer to basically hide away. It was interesting. It was so interesting seeing how many styles was played around, and there was very few issues I had with this episode. I thought the way the man pursuing Sugimoto and them got onto the blimp there, the fact that he was able to basically, swim in the air to grab on, it was a little too anime for my taste, and I definitely thought that there was a lot of production dips in this episode, a lot of facial details that were just really unrefined, but there was something so charming about the episode that even when I was like, okay, that doesn't look the greatest, the way these characters were interacting and the way the dialogue was being presented, I think this is one of the strongest episodes for dialogue. When Sugimoto's confronting the Escape King saying hey, I know you betrayed me, and Escape King's trying to run away, but then he's saying, but the tattoo you gave was a fake, so I know you're not betraying me, and then how Escape King's like, oh, absolutely, I would never betray you. Of course, we know you can't really trust a man like the Escape King. You want him to be around because he's such an entertaining character, but you know he's willing to stab you in the back when it matters. So there's just the way the dialogue was being portrayed by these characters, because really Sugimoto is a man, who can he really trust at the end of the day? He's putting his faith in the Escape King, which hopefully won't bite him in the ass in the future, but really at any point he could be screwed over, and it's just interesting watching a man who fought in wars all his life, the immortal Sugimoto, and how he really just wants that normal life, but really he's trapped in a never-ending hell of just betrayal and killing and just everything that he really doesn't want to be a part of, it feels like, but he is for the well-being of another who just wants her family's gold. And I just really like that. I like how the dialogue was able to mixed this perfect balance of just comedic and over the top and just really serious and heartwarming moments. And the music when they were in that area where it was all windy and, Scape King was running around butt naked, I really liked the OST in that moment because it was so different from the music we generally hear in the series. It was such a nice track. I loved it so much. I'm really interested to hear the full version of that, ultimately whenever the OST drops, if it hasn't already. This was a really fun episode. I definitely think that the biggest moment in this episode is definitely the death and just how unexpected it was. I'm sure there's going to be some people being like, no, of course I knew he was going to get shot. But for me personally, it really bought me into the idea of it felt safe enough that dialogue or someone else would barge in before someone would shoot a gun. So to how they directed it and how they really make you buy into this as a man who can navigate any situation and he can use his dialogue and wits to get out, I really bought into the con artist getting out of it alive. I mean, someone get like Sugimoto getting shot, sure, I can see that happening. I wouldn't expect Sugimoto to die, but just to see the con artist die, like, that was unexpected. Probably going to be one of my favorite moments of the week for all the anime that I'm following with this season. Really fun episode, really emotional episode, definitely had its stupidity and over-the-topness that Golden Kamuy is known for, which is usually pretty fun, but there was some interesting moments in this episode that really pulled on your heartstrings, and I'm interested to see where Sugimoto's character is going to go in the future now that he's seemingly starting to reminisce about the past and how that might open up later down the line. Let me know whatever you thought of this episode down in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate your favorite moment? What did you think of that death? Were you expecting it? Whatever you feel, let me know, and also be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content from me in the future. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.